Welcome to another episode of the KDFL Dynasty Football Podcast. It's the Dynasty Podcast with the league to follow along with. And I'm Brett Steele, and I'm joined by one man and one man only this week. It is Mr. Jonathan Detroit Haynes.
Yo, what's up? It was a big week. Today was a big day.
Today was a big week. This was a big week. And today was a big day. Because later on in this episode, you were just minutes past the KDFL trade deadline. It was another eventful last few days here in the KDFL. We'll break all those down. A lot of the KDFL fellas were in Jacksonville this week for the Jaguars and Niners. We'll break that down as well and many more. But Detroit, let's get it started first. You all might know the Zenful Matt Smith is not here with us today. He is on a very fancy retreat down to Key West, possibly took the Jaguars loss. Very tough. So he's on his own little sabbatical right now, really starting to abuse the KDFL sabbatical policy. But that's for a behind the doors discussion. All right. Now, let's take a look at the NFL. Again, we start with Thursday Night Football, and there was not a lot to talk about. We have the Bears and the Panthers. And my one question for you, there's almost nothing to talk about from a fantasy standpoint from this game, practically nothing. Bryce Young. Okay, so Bryce Young, obviously an Elkview River rat. I think he was pick number 3, or pick number 4, whatever. They were all in the same order, so it's a wash. What is your 1 to 10? What's your panic level right now?
An 8.
That is so high. An 8?
Yeah. I just maybe it shouldn't be that high, but it's I'm Detroit. I'm Mr. Skeptical. The sky's falling at all times. Even with my Lions being 7-2, I expect the rug to be pulled out from underneath me at any minute. He really doesn't have an offensive line. I think that he might be the most sacked quarterback in the league right now. I don't have that stat.
It was Hal. It had to have been Hal, but Hal's been taking less sacks lately. Yeah. So if he's not one, he's up there.
Their O-line is terrible. They can't run the ball. I mean, they did all right this past week, but matter of fact, their leading rusher by average was Bryce Young. They have no receivers.
Okay. So everything you're saying gets me to my point of why I wouldn't be that high yet. Because this guy has, I mean, that's what happens when you go with 1.1. I know that it was the Panthers had the 9th pick, but I mean, so he goes 1.1. So it's not truly like the worst team in the league picked him at the time, but
right.
He's got no support. Like you said, no receivers, bad O-line. The defense isn't what it was supposed to be, because that was their big calling card last year, was the strong defense. They traded away their best wide receiver to get him. And then their running back that they traded for, or signed in free agency, not producing in Miles Sanders whatsoever. He's been a big bust. He's been replaced by Chuba Hubbard now. So,
but that worries me though, because how many quarterbacks have we seen come into terrible situations like that, and that first year just kills them? They just never get their confidence ever.
Oh, okay. I thought you said just kill it, and I was like, well, not many.
No.
But yeah, okay. It just kills them. Yeah, it can. That's my main concern. Frank Reich is aging 10 years every week right now. Like, we're going like Lincoln inaugural photo, second term photo amount of aging right now. This poor guy. So he's really going through it. Also, I don't think you're at an 8 if CJ Stroud doesn't exist, because it's always going to be that comparison. So it might, like, I think you'd be at like almost, say, Young he's looked about like Trevor his first year. Honestly, it wasn't great at all, but we didn't have a Stroud out there dominating from the same draft class in Lawrence's first year. So this is my talk you off the ledge a little bit moment. Obviously, my Falcon fandom wishes nothing but the worst for this Panthers team.
I'm looking at this box score, okay, and I'm looking at the receivers. First was Hurst, Thielen, Steven Sullivan, Miles Sanders,
Never
Tommy
heard of that, man.
Tremble, Tommy Tremble, DJ Chark.
Tommy Tremble.
I mean, come on. There's nothing.
Tommy
there.
Tremble sounds like a DJ. Yeah, there's
I
nothing.
mean, don't
There's
disrespect. I mean, Tommy Tremble's family could be listeners to the show.
It could be. They could be one of the 58, one of the coveted 58.
He's a third-round pick out of Notre Dame.
Okay. Now, I think I've heard of him. I haven't heard of Sullivan, whatever you said there. But yeah, and just to make matters worse, the Hayden Hurst I saw in concussion protocol, so a little cherry on top. We'll see what the Panthers do going forward. It's okay. They get an easier test this week. Stuff lightens up for them. It's just the Dallas Cowboys. No big deal.
No big deal. They got that.
No big deal. On the Bears side, it's just Fields is on his way back. The Bagent experiment seems to be over. I mean, I think the man played well. I think he's earned himself. I don't think he's going to be out the league next few weeks. I think he's earned himself some backup opportunities, but that's about where it stops. But Justin Fields is playing for the Bears not to draft his replacement the rest of the way.
In true Detroit fashion, I just was reading you off the box score from the week before.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely.
For the record, the Mike Strachan was the leading receiver.
That cannot be correct, but we're going to go with it.
That's just one catch, 45 yards. Hey, he's from the college. It says Charleston, West Virginia.
This is just amazing what's happening right now. This is amazing. We're just going to start doing segments of Detroit Explores the Internet, and we'll see where we end up.
Oh, that's a great segment, man. I like that.
A great segment. All right. Let's go. Let's flip to the next guy. I mean, we'll see if Fields can hold on to his job. I mean, likely it's going to be a clean sweep in Chicago once the season ends. So we'll see what happens. But next, we have another game that we have basically nothing to talk about. So the way this went this week with the Colts and the Patriots. My one thing I want to hit on with this, there are reports. Let me credit it correctly. Andrew Callahan reports that Mac Jones has lost the locker room. This is
not shocking.
It's not overly shocking, but it does appear to be that Mac is on his way. I've seen reports that he is likely to be benched extremely soon, and that Will Grier is being brought up to compete with Zappy for snaps. So our boy Will Grier. Remember the famous preseason game. Yeah, right there. We remember the famed preseason game that he had that the Cowboys let him play the whole game to put some stuff on tape, and maybe just maybe this will come to fruition, and we'll see some stuff out of Grier. So, all right, my one question for you: Bill Belichick, all over the news, thinking that he is going to move on at the end of soon, and possibly coach and GM, a mutual parting of ways, be a coach and GM of another franchise. This sounds weird to say. How likely are you to want Bill Belichick as your head coach and GM? Like if you're let's say you're the Commanders.
Yeah,
that's the big rumored one.
As the Commanders, I think I would, because definitely as a coach, because Sam Howell, I mean, he's looking like he's legit. Leads the league in passing. As a GM, though, I mean, he does not have a good track record of late. So that would worry me, but the positive, though, is getting him there. And what they got right now in Riverboat Run, yeah, I would take a chance at that.
I'm hesitant just because I feel like this is stuff that bad teams do.
Well, yeah, and I also think the game is kind of passed Bill by.
Like, yeah, and this is what, like, it reminds me of a team would bring in like Wade Phillips right now or something like that. I mean, I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying a player equivalent is a team with a bad record bringing in an aging running back. It's just like the stereotypical thing of this is what bad teams you see them do. So depending on who's out there, depending on who the Commanders could bring in, maybe they promote Benemy, but you would have, again, that's a big red flags with him because I feel like he's had 45 different head coaching interviews. No one's taken the chance. It's obviously that way for a reason. Now, I will say his little experiment has worked because, I mean, the Washington offense, like you said, Sam Howell, QB3 on the year. I know it's not all about fantasy, but he has looked, able to produce. So I'm sure he'll get an honest look. We can't go more than 10 minutes into the podcast without mentioning Ben Johnson, but we kind of agree that it seems like Ben Johnson is going to get his pick, essentially, in a way, as much as you can. It appears that he's going to get his pick of where he wants to go. So I don't know.
They're all going to
Commanders,
and whoever is a guy like Ben Johnson, whoever is that guy, when they get to choose, like they're the hot commodity, they're going to try to pick the one with the best quarterback situation.
You would think.
I would think Washington's right there.
Yeah. I would agree. Okay, that's just interesting because I think it's kind of weird to see. Well, I don't want Bill Belichick. It's not so much that it's just like this is a stigma, like the Jets bringing in Le'Veon Bell, like that stuff. Like that's the stuff that bad teams typically do. I feel like bringing in somebody way too late,
or like Lovie Smith.
Lovie Smith. Shout out Adam Gase as well. Okay, now let's go to the game that, let's see, 1/4 of the KDFL was at and in attendance. The Jaguars absolutely get dominated by the Niners. This thing was never even in doubt at all. Look, Trent Williams makes all the difference. Purdy's able to throw. He's able to do what he does well, dissect the defenses down, run the plays as needed. He's able to hit his receivers. I thought Purdy looked great. I thought Kittle looked great. Debo comes back. He gets the nice long run in. There's only so much you can say with Jacksonville, with San Fran. McCaffrey looks solid. He gets his touchdown record broke. That's like the only thing the Jaguar fans were hanging on to hope for. Maybe we can end the streak. It was a bunch of, Undertaker fan gifts and things like that. But they even tried to get him one at the end.
Yeah, I would.
I
don't know, man.
I didn't want to talk about, but I was mad about it because my big money league, I have McCaffrey in, and I have a lot invested in that, and I just don't want to see the Niners injury history. I don't want to see something like that go down for that. But
I mean, yeah, it's a cool record, but it's not like, I don't know. It's not like a record that you think of, to be honest. It's not like the all-time rushing leader, all-time touchdowns.
Right.
I
seem to think McCaffrey is more crucial to their offense than the Niners do. Or the Niners. Let's see. I ran the 3 Niners fans, the 2 that went with us, and the one that was in front of me at the game, the stranger at the game. And all of them said, we've made it here. We've made it farther without him. I'm like, hey, okay. I mean, I suppose. But I just felt like if he goes down, there goes your season. That was not the sentiment of Niners fans, and I'll defer to them. They know their team better than I know their team. The only time I get bothered by Shanahan, and like I said, it's a humongous Shanahan fan here, is when I think he thinks he's smarter than everybody else and tries to show off that way.
See how one game changes the narrative. I remember last week on the pod you asked us, is it time to panic?
Yeah.
Brock. And when I told you, I was like, no, it's just they'll be fine. And I'm going to say this, and I'll probably get some heat from a certain owner of the Roxalana Renegades. I think it's coming down to the Niners and the Eagles still in this NFC.
I don't think that's changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Niners need to do so much to get that game to be in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's got to be the focus for the rest of the season.
I am no way saying the Lions can't make it to the NFC Championship. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, if you look at these rosters, San Francisco is going to be right there.
So many weapons, dude.
Yeah, on both sides of the
So
ball.
many weapons.
Like I'll take the Lions offense against anybody, to be honest.
Well, I mean,
But
you got the guy.
well, yeah, but football's more than just offense, you know. So Lions have been torched. I don't want to keep talking about the Lions, but they've been
It's
torched
coming
like 3
up.
times.
It's coming up.
So
Yeah. What's your panic level on the like? I'm lumping the Jags in with the Dolphins, with the Bills. Even the Bills are a little bit shakier in this. You gotta show me now. It's been too many times you've went up against the big name and fallen short. And this wasn't just falling short. This was never having a chance.
yeah, I mean, I still never really looked at them as like one of the top teams in the AFC. Do I think they'll make the playoffs? Yes. But I still don't rank them up there with like the Chiefs and the Ravens. I mean, things have kind of changed though now, like looking at the standings here.
Oh, it's
like
a big log jam. AFC is insane right now.
Well, like the AFC, you're like, we all thought, all right, Buffalo's going to be good. And now that's not happening. Dolphins, they can't beat anybody that's good. They beat up on everybody else. So the Steelers are winning. They've been outgained in every game.
There is a scenario, I believe there's a scenario that if losses and wins fall a certain type of way, that we come out of this next week with the Steelers as the 1 seed. I believe I've heard that correctly. That there is a way wins and losses can fall a certain type of way. Obviously, the 7-3 and 7-2 have to lose. The Steelers have to win. Duh. But there is a certain type of way that this could happen where the Steelers go from the 5 seed right now to the 1.
That is insane.
I love it. All right. Not yeah, I mean, you panic in Jacksonville. Trevor, he takes some brutal shots. Bosa was in there. I got to see the Kittle first down, the little wrist toss, and the Bosa shrug right in my face. Both of those were right where we were in the stands. So that was pretty cool to see. I mean, I do love the Jags, but it's not like a huge, emotional interest or investment in them. They're kind of like team away from team, but so it was fun to see the overall game.
I really do think there should be a KDFL road trip every year.
It's got to be with more documentation of it. I will say I was pleased to see other podcasts, Part of My Take being one of them, making fun of the party button, because that was absurd to do a party button. They do a party button starting the fourth quarter in Jacksonville. Everybody's trying to get pumped up, bro. It's like 30-0, right? Or 33 right now, and you're trying to get a party button going. Oh, you got to do that at the beginning, bro. Come on, let's read a room. Okay. So I really have on that. Let's go. We always talk about him at the beginning, and we'll talk about him now. CJ Stroud, 356, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The Texans get a surprising victory over the Bengals, 5-4 on the season. Now this one, Noah Brown again. Let's see. He had 7 catches, 172 yards. He's a wide receiver 6 on the week. Detroit, do we think with, Nico was out, Nico's coming back this week, I believe. Do we think that the Texans can sustain 3 receiving options?
Yeah. Why can't they? I think it's possible. It is wild. Look at what Singletary did in that game too. He had 150 yards rushing.
Yeah.
So that team is I mean, obviously they're 5-4. They've been putting up lots of yardage and points. And it's crazy because, like I said, it's crazy how 1 week changes everything. The Bengals were on a roll. I think they had beaten the Seahawks, Niners, and the Bills 3 weeks in a row, and they come in and lose at home to the rookie. So
to the rookie.
It's the NFL. That's why everyone loves it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. The other big game, 1 o'clock game. I see I have like 3 more to go over here that I want to highlight from. The Vikings make me feel a little less bad about my Falcons losing to Josh Dobbs, because they then take down the Saints, and it's pretty. The score is 1 score, but this was a pretty dominant performance. Hawkinson, 11, 134, and 1. Do we think Is there any type of scenario? How likely? Let's see. That the Vikings don't hardly drop off at all from going from Cousins to Dobbs. Are we hyping this two-man up too much already? We already put him in space. We already made him an astronaut. Is the hype getting too fast, too furious right now? Or do we think this is legitimate that he can support Hawkinson, Addison, and Jefferson when Jefferson would come back?
I think so. I still think my Lions will win the division, but he looked pretty good while he was with Arizona.
Yeah.
Now he's got more weapons. The NFC North, besides the Lions, is not a good division. I'm not sure how many games they got left against the Bears and Packers, but yeah, I can see them just continue to win with him. I still would rather have Cousins, don't get me wrong.
I think so. I
think
would
so?
agree. No, I would agree. Yeah, that was like an affirmative. Like I would agree. I'd obviously still rather have Cousins, but this is you can't knock the impressiveness of this. Does he not? Can you be a comeback player of the year if you never were? Like if you were never a. Does he have odds right now? We need to check this out.
That's a good question.
Because you like the joke, like you're not even a has-been, you're a never was. So shout out Mighty Ducks. That's the first time I heard that. Mighty Ducks, the talking to Bombay. Yeah. Let me see here. We're gonna talk about this. I'm gonna look at this later on and report back.
All righty.
A funny question for you. Jaylen Warren takes over the starting role for Najee. They announced that before the game. I actually missed that because of getting ready for the Jaguars game. I didn't see that news come out. And he looks impressive. 101 yards, 1 touchdown on 15 carries. My question for you.
Okay.
What?
Go ahead. I was going to say, didn't they run for over like 200 yards or something like that?
Yes, they absolutely dominated running the ball. My question for you. We haven't done one this low yet, I don't think. Well, maybe we have. But none like this. Jaylen Warren is our KDFL player trade discussion.
Oh, my God. We're going low.
You have a running back that just now. Okay, sorry. Josh Dobbs is now third in comeback player of the year odds.
Oh, wow.
Number one, I swear, I'm not going to forgive the rest of the KDFL if this ends up hitting. Damar Hamlin is still number one at minus 250. That's almost what he was when the season started. He played last week. Tua is number 2 at 550. Josh Dobbs is number 3. Yeah, 2 at 550, the concussions and everything. Josh Dobbs is number 3 at 600. So he's right there behind Tua. He's going to go as the Vikings go. This odds. Right. I mean, obviously, I'm not rocket science there, but
I would think for him to win, they'd have to win the division.
I think if he gets him to the playoffs.
Yeah,
honestly.
I get it.
The only thing is, Damar Hamlin's such a wild card because it has nothing to do with what the Bills do.
Right.
It has nothing to do with what he does. I mean, like I said, you literally can't come back any more than this man came back.
I still get a kick out of that ambulance going off the field.
Oh, you can't do that either. Come on. Be smarter, guys. Okay. Jaylen Warren, you have a 25-year-old running back who everybody could see for the last half year or so. This guy's more explosive than Najee. Najee's prodding along, whatever, higher draft capital. But Jaylen Warren, every time he got the ball, it was electricity. He finally gets the call to his starting job. He produces in said starting job. All right, I got some. This is interesting to me. I know people like to only talk about the big names. I am fascinated by these smaller deals that can happen. All right, you have Jaylen Warren. You're a middle of the road type of team, like we always say in these instances, because obviously with running backs, that's going to affect a lot of what you do, as far as what state your team is in.
Right.
You have Jaylen Warren. You were offered Zach Charbonnet.
Oh man,
this does not get easier, by the way.
Do you have Zach's what's he doing this year?
No.
I haven't really.
Oh no, he's out snapping Ken Walker 3 straight weeks. I know that,
really?
but Ken Walker's still producing, so don't let that. That's a little misleading. It's just he's gotten more snaps.
Yeah,
But
I actually may keep.
Jaylen
I
Warren.
might keep him. Yeah, because Charbonnet has that dual thing with Kenneth Walker.
Okay, you want okay, as opposed to Jaylen, who doesn't have the higher drafted running back right there with him.
Yeah, but I think we're all on agreement on what Harris is. So
all right. Well, you're all right about that. Ken Walker has the more obviously the better upside to the notch. It's not even worth. Yeah, I get that. All right, a fun one for you, Tajay Spears, a river rat, I believe.
Ooh, he is a river rat.
Yeah.
Ooh, man, that's tough.
I believe Jaylen Warren is a gambler, and so this is a feasible trade that could happen.
I may keep him just from the standpoint of we haven't really seen Spears in the lead role yet, and he does have an injury history.
Okay, so you're that was confusing the way I phrased that for the people because you have Tajay Spears.
Right.
You would keep Jaylen Warren, is what you're saying.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, that was my fault with how I phrased it. Okay. Next one. You're staying in Elkview. Christian Watson.
Oh, I'm keeping him. I'm not taking Watson.
Whoa.
No.
Watson hot seat confirmed.
He has been awful.
I
mean, horrendous.
All right. Another fun one. Joe Mixon.
Why am I keeping him? Why would I keep keeping him?
You should probably trade for Jaylen Warren in Detroit. Is what I'm getting.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I'm keeping him.
Let's see if I have any others here that are worth it.
What about you? What would you do in that scenario?
I think I'm keeping Mixon in that scenario because I think Mixon's deal is structured where he gets one more year. So that's 2 years that we're getting out of him.
Yeah, I guess I should have clarified. Are we talking like just
it's dynasty, but it's tough. But I think if Mixon, if it was very evident this was it for Mixon's done, I'll do it. But I think because I remember reading everywhere that he structured his deal to where he should get 2 more years. There's no evident replacement. There's nobody. I mean, they've drafted running backs, but nobody's been pushing Mixon at all. So I like that offense. Obviously,
I guess it also depends on where your fantasy team is at that point too.
Yeah. I mean, we say middle of the road, but it's still tough. Okay, yeah. I like that. That's a fun. That one's different.
I'm sure people make fun of me for all my decisions on that one, but whatever.
I mean,
wasn't expecting that one.
Yeah. All right. Last game of the 1:00. Ravens give away a win to the Browns. And then we learned today that Watson is out for the year. And I thought it was the same shoulder.
That was yesterday.
Oh, that was yesterday. Duh. I get my Thursdays and Wednesdays confused. Imagine. We learned that Watson is out for the year, and I thought it was the same shoulder. It is not. It is the other shoulder. Absolutely miraculous. This is the worst contract. I mean, this jumps to the head of the Russ contract, does it not? As the worst?
Yeah.
Especially the Broncos are winning a little bit.
Yeah. And how many first round picks did they give up? At least 3, right?
I believe it's 3 first, 2 seconds. I should have this trade tattooed.
And that contract is just terrible.
The contract's so big. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have it exactly, but
he's going to be
3 first round picks, $230 million guaranteed. Yeah. Yeah, 3 first. And that cap hit these next 3 years, $64 million, $64 million, $64 million.
Oh my.
And you don't get to trade without the contract because that's why he picked, where he picked. So, okay. That's it for the one. Oh, how worried are we about the Ravens? That's ominous, dude. That's ominous.
We got
talking about the Browns, the worst contract.
And the black cat jumps up.
The black cat jumps
We
up.
got Vader here and Vader down there. Nice.
Are we concerned about the Ravens? I always think people are too overhyped on the Ravens. I want to know your thoughts. You still have them as
No.
a Super Bowl contender? Super Bowl contender.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
It's
I
like I'm
think
not. Can't do it.
I know people doubt them, but I think that defense, yes, they had a bad week last week. I still think the defense is really good. I think the offense is good. I'm a believer. I think
I'm just
it's
not.
them and the Chiefs. I think
I
it's them
think
and the
I'm a
Chiefs in
Ravens
the
hater. I think I'm a Ravens hater.
end.
I don't understand.
Did that start when you traded Mark Andrews?
No, I love Mark Andrews. Shout out Mark Andrews. Still miss you to this day. All right. Let's go to let's go to the 4:00 games. All right, I'll let you have the floor here. The Lions win a close one. It was not easy. It was not pretty, we would say, but take it away.
Man, that was a beautiful, beautiful offensive game to watch. If you're not a fan of either one of those teams, this cat's freaking me out, by the way.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of one of those, or you're not a fan of one of those teams, watching a game like that is so fun. I knew it was going to come down to the team with the ball at the end. I love the call to go for it.
You did?
I loved it because the Chargers had like 4 straight drives of over like 60 yards or something ridiculous. We weren't stopping them. So even if we kicked the field goal there, I'm still thinking the Chargers drive down the field and score a touchdown to win. So I was fine with that. I loved it.
Would the field goal, sorry to interrupt you, would the field goal put you up exactly 3 or less than 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
3.
Okay.
I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait. Yeah.
Okay. I figured so. I think
I'm
so.
sorry. Yeah, it was 41-38. So the offense looked amazing. I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a better called game. Every play was it just seems like we were getting 5-6 yards a game or a play. Montgomery looked good. Gibbs is a stud, man. That guy is electric.
Yeah.
Goff is playing absolutely incredible. Probably his best year ever. They look legit. They're gonna stay in games because of that offense.
The
They
hilariousness of Gibbs getting the shorter touchdown and Montgomery getting the 75-yarder. Absolutely hilarious.
Did you see they had the wrong personnel on that play for that run?
No.
St. Brown didn't even know he didn't even know where he was supposed to be, what route he was supposed to be running. And JMO, he had an excellent block down the field so Montgomery could score. So it was just great all around game. It was exciting, but if you looked at my messages between the owner with the Roxanne Renegades, I was stressed out. I was completely stressed out that we were going to lose that game.
That is a stressful game.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than a bad defense, because you just feel like no points matter. You're just like, okay, cool.
Me and Fields were talking, and Justin Herbert to us it's like Matthew Stafford when he had Calvin on offense.
That's a good comparison.
It's like he has to do everything on his own.
Yes.
Throwing it, slinging it. He's got bad coaching.
That is a comparison that I haven't heard yet, and I'm pissed off I haven't thought of yet. It is very, very accurate, I feel like.
Yeah, it is.
He got a cannon of an arm, puts the team on his back.
Yeah.
And just does.
And of course, and a lot of times at the end, he's having to make a play. Yeah. And he'll mess up. And sometimes he doesn't mess up. But it's I like to see him with a better coach and obviously a better defense.
I think you're going to get the chance to see that. I think that's going to be, or at least a different coach, we'll say.
I'm not going to be on here like some people and say he's garbage, because he's obviously not.
No, he's not garbage. But I love that. I can't believe I haven't thought of that Stafford comparison. I think we haven't thought of the Stafford comparison because we put the Chargers as because they should be better than they are, and the Lions didn't have that stigma during the Lions years or Stafford years, so we don't do it. But I think that's perfect, absolutely perfect. Okay. The Cowboys game that continues to roll. I mean, 404, one rushing touchdown as well. And he has 4 through the air. And it's not. I don't think it's going to stop. This is what I said earlier in the this season's weeks of podcast. The next schedules: the Panthers, the Commanders, the Seahawks, and the Eagles. All 4 of those you can throw on. You can throw on all 4 of them pretty effectively. So I think the Cowboys just going to keep on rolling. At least Dak in that offense.
Yeah, I think I had in my notes here. He's had 3 straight games of over 30 points. You had the breakout game for Brandon Cooks finally.
Yes.
He was wide receiver number 3. CD Lamb was wide receiver number 2 last week.
Yeah.
They're legit.
Yeah.
I think them and the Lions are probably like fighting for that number 3 team in the NFC. Either one of them can upset one of the other teams, but
I mean because Dallas can't be number 4.
Well, you know what I mean. I'm in like
no. I was doing it in my head. You didn't even say anything wrong. I was doing it in my head because I thought 3 and 4, but Dallas can't obviously not be number 4. So yeah, I would agree. I would think it's those 4 teams, and then everybody else. I mean, it's crazy to say you're not fully bought into the Vikings yet, but it is. I mean, it is the worst quarterback situation of the 5 still. Yeah. So, but I don't know. The Vikings are starting to look.
Sorry, Keith. You guys. I'm gonna need you guys to slow it down and start losing some games. All right, just let us Lions have this division for once.
Shout out, super fan. All right, the last thing I got at 4 o'clock is the Falcons blow another one. We finally get the Bijan game, so everybody can chill out about that. He finally gets to do 22 carries, 95 yards, a touchdown. It looks good. Heineke gets injured. So now Ritter comes in, looks okay, rushes for a few big gains. But the Falcons blow another one. Arthur Smith's seat continues to heat up. I don't have anything to talk about from a fantasy perspective. Kyler looks back. Kyler's going to be solid. I think Trey McBride's continue to look good, and Hollywood Brown will get better as well. A key thing to look on to see is how he incorporates Michael Wilson, the rookie that's been out there mostly all season, basically just doing cardio, not getting enough looks because the offense couldn't support it. We'll see if Kyler coming back continues to help him out. But as all reports, Arthur's not on the hot seat unless he loses the locker room next year. But here's the problem I have. I was banging the drums to bring Heineke in. We brought Heineke in for 2 must-win games against Josh Dobbs, fresh off the airplane. Didn't even know how to get around in the stadium. And then we bring him in. And then for Kyler Murray's first game back against the 1-8 Cardinals, we lose them both. So now I'm forced to snip, snap back to should he start Ritter now? Should you go back to Ritter? We're on the bye. Whatever they announce after this bye week, that's who they're going with, or the reports. Detroit, who would you start rest of the season?
Woo.
We're going to go to Detroit for Falcons discussion now.
Yeah, I didn't get to see any of this game because I was too concentrated on the line.
I saw too much of it.
I was going to ask you how Kyler looked in the game, but since you're
asking
about
fine.
The Falcons, I think you got to go. I think you know what you got on Heineke. I really do.
I agree. I hate to say it, I agree.
I think I would go with Ritter. Because how many games has he started, would you say?
Ritter total? Okay, let me do quick math. 14 games since he started. He didn't start in 2 of them. 12.
12? Yeah, I still think you got to see like a full
Not even
season.
the full season yet. He'll have a full season if he goes through this one. I think you give him I have 0 expectations for him. Let me say that. Let me get that out there. We're not going to be banging the drums for old Desmond. But I don't even want to draft one, dude. I don't even want to draft one at this point. Unless we do some big pack, unless we do some huge pack, dude, I don't want to do a year of Bo Nix or maybe Penix Jr. I mean, if you're gonna draft one, give me one that runs around all over the place. It's exciting. But I think you either trade up to get one of the top 2, which is basically 9% chance again, or you do packages for Murray if the Cardinals have a chance to move on, which I think the Cardinals are going to play their way out of being able to move on from Murray.
Yeah.
Potentially. Cousins, you won't need to trade for because he'll be a free agent. So just don't bring me Ryan Tannehill.
You're still only a game out of first, but you're in that loaded NFC. So, I mean, you got to. Me personally, I'd be thinking about that. I'm like, am I stuck with?
I want to win a division, though. I want a cheap division. I'd be perfectly happy. Give me the cheap division win. Let me get waxed in the first round by the Cowboys, and then we'll just go on about our day. That's a perfectly fine. That's a happy season to me.
But in that scenario, then you'd have to go with Heineke, though, wouldn't you?
I don't know. See, now I don't know because Heineke was supposed to push this offense downfield and win these games, and he lost them both. So, and he doesn't get the same leash as Ritter. He doesn't get the rookie growing pains. No, dude, you've been out here. Yeah. You've been in this. All right. I don't really nothing from the Commanders and the Seahawks. Pretty solid game from the running backs. Robinson and Gibson both go for over 20 fantasy points. That was pretty impressive. I don't take the Seahawks win. I still don't take them as any threat to the Niners. It could be just because I'll watch the Niners destroy a team with my own eyes, but I don't. Yeah. I don't see that. The Seahawks to me are Gonzaga. Okay, they're just Gonzaga. They just keep they do beat up on the teams they're supposed to beat up on. Yeah, West Coast team. That is true. I didn't mean to get that specific with it, but yeah, I did. All right, so I don't see them as a serious threat to the Niners in the NFC West. Sunday night game. Should the Raiders go with Pierce as their head coach? Are you 2 games in? Are you ready to sign off on this?
I mean, no. It's 2 games. But if they finish out the season strong, then yes. This might be just. I mean, obviously the guys hated their coach. So
yeah.
And they're playing to prove that, hey, it wasn't us. But we got to see that continue. I'm not going to sign a guy to another contract over 2 games.
Against the New York teams.
Yeah,
against the New York teams. I will say this. If he keeps it close, he don't have to beat Miami, obviously, in Miami. But if he keeps it close in Miami, and Miami's a team that you can keep it close on, then we start to – then it really gets perked up. All right. We just mentioned Miami staying in the AFC East. Finally, the Monday Night Football game, Josh Allen, absolute turnover machine. He's still trying to force too much. The Bills have been exposed for massive, massive mistakes. Was Ken Dorsey the right person to play the scapegoat for this offense, Detroit?
Well, you have to make someone the scapegoat, but the real scapegoat.
There's no E.
Okay, whatever. The real issue is it's the quarterback. Let's be honest. Even though he is still the number 1 fantasy ranked quarterback, I believe he's turned the ball over a leading 14 times or something like that.
Yes.
Including his fumbles. I mean, you just can't win like that. And their running game, I didn't pay attention to the running stats or rushing stats.
By the way, that Cook fumble where he bounces the ball off the ground and catches it and keeps running, should be able to do that. I'll always say that. You should never be able to fumble forward ever. Well, I don't care if it looked awesome as heck, and it did.
Yeah.
But
they finally had a good running game. They had 192 yards rushing. James Cook, 109
Yeah, but they benched him for the fumble earlier, and he does it again.
Yeah.
He catches it.
They're turning the ball over too much.
Yeah. This is the sign of a team. And could we literally see the end of – it sounds insane. Could this be the end of McDermott? No way. Okay, guy's allowed to have a bad season, is he not?
No, I don't know, but they're trending the wrong way.
You fire OCs in the middle of the season, that's a red flag. You talk about what bad teams do. Teams are the things are regimes get ready to change. Yeah. So let's see. Okay. Are you ready? It's the trade deadline in the KDFL.
Woo!
And we're gonna get to the trades that happen. But first, we have to go back in time and get what happened in our week 10 to set us up to where we are now. Detroit, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, take us
We
away in Dogtown.
we have Wake Forest heading north to take on the Dogtown Dobermans, who were 6-3, trying to increase their playoff odds. Dobermans have been strong all year. Unfortunately, they get us bad points out of Josh Allen. Cole Kmet only 9 points. Defense did not score much for the Dobermans, while the Lumberjacks get 27 points from Sam Howell, 23 from Lockett, and 26 from Joshua Dobbs, not Dubs, and pull off the upset 254 to 234.
All right, we go to St. Albans next, where it is the 7-2 Sinners hosting the 3-6 Gamblers. Raquan Smith starts things off well for the Gamblers with 30 points. Derwin James keeps that Gamblers defense going with 20 of his own, but it is old man Mike Evans with 26 for the Sinners, and Foye Oluokun with 22, doing his best down there in Jacksonville to put the Sinners over the top. But Jaylen Warren, in his starting role, tries to fight back for the Gamblers with 19 of his own, but it is another old head Bobby Wagner with 21 for the Sinners, and they keep it moving 236 to 218.
Next, we have Roxalina heading south to take on Nocatee Zen Masters, who are on a 4-game losing streak. The Renegades get just monster games from Jared Goff, Garrett Wilson, David Montgomery, TJ Hawkinson, the number 1 tight end in fantasy football, with 30 points. The Zen Masters, they did get a big breakout game from Noah Brown, but that's about it. The Roxalina Renegades take this one pretty easily, 247 to 182.
Right, we head to Elkview next, where your River Rats are hosting the Kanawha County Kings, and it is a newly traded for acquisition CeeDee Lamb that leads the way of all scorers in this one with 40 points. And your stud third pick overall rookie Jahmyr Gibbs with 26 tries to do his best to keep the River Rats afloat. Even Devin Singletary pours in 23 of his own, but it's not enough as Kyler Alexander Hamilton puts up 28, and Brian Robinson with 28 of his own as well puts the Kings as the top scorer on the week, winning 295 to 204.
Next, we have Marmette Midnight Riders heading south to take on your Melbourne Mega Powers. And this turned out to be the Detroit Lions and Los Angeles Chargers game of the week.
That's right.
Just an absolute shootout. For the Mega Powers, you had 41 points from Dak, 21 from Trey McBride. You had the number 2 and number 3 linebackers on the week. But it just wasn't enough because the Midnight Riders had huge game from Keenan Allen with his 41 points. Defense scored all kinds of points all over there, but it was a very close matchup of 277 to 260. Mega Powers, you are scoring some points here of late.
You listen for that. That's the sound of the nail in the coffin going in the Mega Power season. What little hope we had dashed by the Midnight Riders. And now we end week 10 with our game of the week. It's the Hurricane Wampus Cats at 5-4, traveling to the 4-5 defending champion South Hills Evil Empire. Herbert starts it off with 32 for the Wampus Cats, doing everything he can. Even Eckler tried to help him out a little bit with 22 of his own, but that was for the Evil Empire. And Lions great Amon-Ra St. Brown pours in 31 for the Wampus Cats, but that is where the scoring stopped. George Kittle with 21 right in my face in Jacksonville, and Jamar Chase leads all scorers on the Evil Empire with 23 of his own, hurt back and all. The Evil Empire get the win, 234 to 199. They move to 5-5 on the season. And that is it for your week 10 results. Let's throw our picks up on the big board now. You can see all 3 of our picks. We all went 4-2. Detroit maintains a 3-game lead on the season with his picks. As far as our locks, Detroit and Mike picking for Matt both hit on theirs with Tampa Bay and Detroit. I missed on the Seahawks. The Dogs, Mike hitting on his pathetic 1.5 point dog pick over the Raiders over the Jets. So Matt will score a measly 1 point there. And the stealing money parlay misses because of 12 men on the field in Buffalo. It falls to 4. It falls to 4-6. A 500 record on that boy still eludes it. All right, back to us now. It was the trade deadline week here in the KDFL, and we had a few things to happen.
A few?
We had a few. Let me see. I want to make sure I get to the right part here. Okay. I think we're going to start with we'll start with the Kings and Gamblers trade. Let's start with that one first because we have a few to put through here. This happened earlier this week. We get Brandon Ayuk traded for a Wampus Cats first, a Wampus Cats third, Jack Gibbons, and Rico Dowdle. Detroit, do you think that is an appropriate price to pay for Mr. Brandon Ayuk?
Yeah. I think it's fine. I would have liked to got in on that, to be honest. I needed a wide receiver pretty bad, but
my only question with this is earlier in the season, we talked about just on that little rundown there, the Gamblers traded away CeeDee Lamb, a young, promising wide receiver going into his prime. Now we trade away Brandon Ayuk, another wide receiver. You can't even believe it. You're shocked. You're shocked. Yeah. I get the tearing down and rebuilding. You still have to fill the team, a respectable team, you would hope. And trading away the young talent is not the best way to do that to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You got to have some cornerstones on that team like that you can build around. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, maybe he's got some great plan that we don't know about, but you have to, when you do stuff like that, you have to hit on your draft picks.
Yeah.
I'm a perfect example of that. When
a time that the Gamblers hit on their draft pick? When they drafted Brandon Ayuk. It was a pretty good hit. I believe that I called that famously the reach of the draft. As I've done numerous times and gotten wrong. Almost 1,000% I'm wrong when I call for a reach of the draft. Brandon Ayuk, DJ Metcalf, and Terry McLaurin are three of my most famous reaches for the draft. Well done.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even know. How old is Ayuk?
25.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See? No.
Okay.
Whatever. To each their own.
And remember, the Niners have that Purdy contract. So it's not, they got a little bit of time before the party ends here. Not a ton, but they'll have to start making some decisions, but they get a little bit of time. It's not like it ends this year. Okay. We have the Renegade sending Tyler Lockett to the Lumberjacks for Shaq Leonard. I don't know really what the Lumberjacks are doing right here. I guess you're getting a little bit younger with Shaq Leonard, so we'll see. And the Renegades needed, with Higgins out, they needed a little wide receiver help. So I guess it's kind of whatever. Yeah, we like it kind of for both. Lumberjacks off that hot rookie draft kind of get to improve their defense a little bit. Not a ton with this one.
No.
Now, this one is what I want to talk to you about. This one's interesting. This is I feel like this is like the second year this has happened, but we'll see. The Kings get the Lumberjacks 2025 first, and they give up the Gamblers 2024 second, 2024 fifth, which don't get me started. It's hilarious when those make those into deals. I like it. And the Kings 2025 second. So essentially, we're talking 2 second-round picks and a dart throw for this. There's no guarantee at all of the Lumberjacks getting out of the lottery in 2025.
Yeah. Man, there's so many trades that keep up with this. I'm trying to go through all of them.
Yeah.
Trying to catch them. But, yeah, I forgot all about that one, to be honest. It's crazy.
I just, to me, you would have to do an awful, and I know I'm known as like the stingy trader. I think it's misrepresented. Okay, look, all right, gone through some things in Melbourne, but whatever. But to me, if my first pick is in the lottery, or May has a good chance of being in the lottery, obviously no team expects, besides the very, very obvious ones, no team expects to be in the lottery. But you can't pry that away from me.
Yeah.
There is a scenario, and the Lumberjacks benefit directly from it. They had the 6th odds going into this last draft. That's why Bijan Robinson is a Lumberjack, because they struck lightning with being in the lottery and got the 1.1.
Yep.
Speaking of the mega powers, we send Calvin Ridley, 4-1 out. Calvin Ridley. Oh, actually, for 20, it's pretty full. We send Calvin Ridley and a 2025 second to the Durbins for a 2025 first. The thinking here is basically there's a chance stuff could fall apart, and there's a chance they get in the lottery, or they ends up with like pick 7 through 10.
Right.
Just try to move up a little bit. Ridley is always. I think it's kind of been talked about so much now that it's kind of not known thing now. Ridley's older than people think. He's almost 29.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We've talked about it so many times on here to try it.
Yeah. You act like I listen when we record these.
Ridley is older. Now, I think this is going to help. If Zay Jones will quit screwing around, quit making these bad mistakes, and get healthy, when he comes back, Ridley is one of the only wide receivers I can think of that gets better when more wide receivers are back, and because he is doing what Zay Jones usually does, and he is not made like that. So he could get better when Zay Jones gets back. The only thing that worries me is for the Jags to re-sign him. The deal with the Falcons, the Jags have to give a 2nd-round pick for if it was like this. It was a 5th in the trade just for doing it, a 4th if he does enough playing time, which he's done that, a 3rd if he certain stats related. And I gotta look up the stats. I don't know what they are. If he signs an extension, if he re-signs with Jacksonville, it's a 2nd. So they have to factor that in with whether or not to bring him back because it gets expensive.
I'm not.
I mean, the season's still, it's just over halfway done. Like, it's a lot could happen. But it's not like you're pulling a 2nd out of thin air. Like, you're going from what's already a 4th to a 2nd. So you got to keep that in account. But there's also the other fact. It doesn't mean he goes to a worse situation when he goes somewhere else. It's not like he disappears. He could end up in Kansas City, as the Kings suggested to me. There's an outside chance of that. And then what? So, a lot of mystery with this. The Durbins and Mega Powers enjoy a very lustrous trade agreement. Very two similar thinking countries that get along. Okay.
You guys do.
It's very simple. Our trade conversations are usually about 5 lines long each time. Finally, this one is so heavy that I have a hard time dissecting. The Gamblers received Christian Kirk, Zach Moss, a Wampus Cat 2nd, and a Kings 2024 4th. And that's what the Gamblers get. The Wampus Cats get Roquan Smith and a Sinners 2024 3rd. Do you have any thoughts on this trade?
Well, obviously the Gamblers, the best player they're getting is Christian Kirk. Zach Moss doesn't really do anything for me because I don't. Yes, I
think he's back to handcuff status.
He was hot because he didn't have Jonathan Taylor there. Roquan Smith is a beast.
Yeah, so, and the Wampus Cats needed linebacker help.
Yeah, he got the best player in that draft or in that trade. He didn't really have to give up too much, I don't think. What I look at here is Kirk in the 2nd-round pick. That's what I see.
Roquan Smith?
Yeah.
I think this is and I'm just going to be honest. We'll be frank here right now. The bar ain't very high, but this is the smartest thing that I've seen the Gamblers do in a while. This trade.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Nick. I didn't say it.
All right. And it wouldn't be the trade deadline podcast if I didn't have a breaking trade announcement. This one came in under the wire, and it is A absolute doozy. I love that I have the timestamps with it to prove that it was done before 6 p.m. Eastern, the KDFL trade deadline. It is timestamped. It was done at 5:58. Actually, the word deal was said at 5:59, followed up with a F it, only live once response by the person that was agreed to. We have Patrick Mahomes going to
What?
the Midnight Riders for a. Hold on, Pat, I'm going to mess this up. Patrick Mahomes goes to the Midnight Riders, and going to the Evil Empire is none other than Justin Jefferson. So it's Mahomes and a 2024 fourth for Jefferson, a second and a third in 2024.
Well,
this is humongous news for the KDFL. This is a huge shift. The Midnight Riders finally get their quarterback, even though they've had to trade the Evil Empire twice to get their quarterback. So they're going to roll with Baker and Mahomes rest of the season.
There's a lot to dissect here.
A lot to dissect.
I'll start with this. I'm partly to blame for this trade. I really am. If anybody's mad at this trade, first of all, I think it's a very fair trade. Right. You want to get mad at me. Get mad at the person that drafted.
Say no more.
And then get mad at, I think it was Tim. The Kings. Because this trade would not have happened if some of us weren't dumb enough not to draft CJ Stroud. So the Evil Empire are basically they're putting all their hopes on CJ as the real deal on those 10 games or whatever it is he's played now. So like I said, my first reaction is I don't have any issue with it. Yes, I think it technically makes the Evil Empire better. But the Midnight Riders definitely needed a quarterback with that.
It's their glaring weak spot.
And he's still got some studs at wide receiver. So
yeah.
I think it makes both teams better, to be honest.
It makes both teams better. It opens the Evil Empire up to risk.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't care if he has that top three. Like you're talking about 3 top 10 quarterbacks. If Stroud could continue playing at this level, you're not going to hold on to all 3 of those. That would almost be like dynasty malpractice to hold on to that much value and not turn it into something like this. So
my only
see.
concern for the Midnight Riders is Mahomes is still young. He's only 28, but what's it going to be like without Kelsey?
Right.
But Kansas City, I'm sure they'll make a deal or two here and get him some more weapons or whatever. I don't think Mahomes has had his best season by far, but you got to make the in this super flex to get a Patrick Mahomes. Oh my God, you got to do that.
I think it's incredible that the Mahomes and Jefferson deal happened without a single first involved.
Yeah,
it's not good or bad. I'm not saying anything about it. I just think you would think there's no scenario where one of these guys don't go without at least one, if not multiple first being involved with the deal. It just so happened to be, the 2 teams that could get it done. I thought the Kings were going to be the ones to go in and get Mahomes. It was announced. They only had like a 2-hour warning or so that Mahomes is even on the market. I thought the Kings with all their first round picks was going to make a play. I know the Wampus Cats were trying to think of something, we're trying to, dig in the couch, try to find the extra money to make this happen. But yeah, I think it makes both teams better. I think it opens the Evil Empire up to a little bit more risk, but I think it was risks you have to take. Those championships stay forever, and you can keep the dynasty going. You keep it going. I'm very excited to see the chat's reaction to this trade.
Too.
Cannot wait.
I'll also say I'm interested to see Jefferson without Kirk Cousins throwing the ball to him. So
yeah,
gotta look at that too. So
yeah,
I don't have an issue with it. Usually, me, I'd be up in arms over.
Not you, man.
Better, but I think it's a fair trade.
All right. That's it, man. That's our trade deadline. Some fun stuff. Okay, let me get back. Are you ready to break down KDFL Week 11?
I am.
It is our
Yes.
last week. It is our last week before the divisional rounds kickoff. Or before, not the divisional rounds. I'm sorry. It's our last week before all that's left is divisional games. I should have said that more clearly. All right. First up in week 11, we have my Melbourne Mega Powers taking on the 7-3 Roxanne Renegades. Matt went with the Renegades. Detroit, what say you?
Man, he went against your team. I mean, what kind of friend is that?
Unbelievable.
uh, Going into this match, your team has been hot. Even though you lost last week, you've been putting up 281, 254, 260. That is very good in this league. I don't know what these projections are all about. They have you at 212. I was kind of interested if you had the projections from the week before, like shows how much you scored over, but whatever.
About 40, about 35 over. Mike scored, or the Midnight Rider scored about 45, 50 over.
Yeah. That's a tough loss. But your team, you got Dak. He's been rolling. I touched that earlier. He's had like 3 straight games of at least 30 points. Looking at the matchups, though, it looks like about that's all you got this week on offense. For the Renegades, I talked about him earlier. TJ, he's been the number 1 tight end. They just acquired Lockett. So is that going to be the piece to put them over the top? They've always been good here. I say always. They've been good lately. So they're trying to take that next step. I think they're going to win this game. No offense to you. I think it's going to be about a 20, 30-point win for them.
Mega Powers met with devastating news yesterday morning that the Deshaun Watson is out for the rest of the season. But that's okay because our season ended last week with the loss to the Midnight Riders anyway. So now we're looking forward to next year. And what I want to see out of this matchups is I want to see Nico Collins back in the Texans lineup and to see if Noah Brown, if he can supplant Noah Brown and what they've been doing. Noah Brown, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, see where Nico fits in now. That's the main and only thing I'm watching. I think this is going to be a pretty handily beatdown. I actually have the Renegades winning by 40 plus. Might be putting it mercifully. So yeah, give me the Renegades. Next, we have the Kanawha County Kings being visited by the Cross Vegas Gambler. Zinfo Matt went with the fellow Dunbarian Kings. Detroit, take it away.
Yes, the Gamblers head to Kanawha County to take on the Kings. And I'm anxious for the Kings. I'm looking forward to seeing Josh Jacobs if he can continue without McDaniels. It seems that the Raiders got him going now. He is taking on the Dolphins. We already touched on Jaylen Warren for the Steelers. But looking at the Gamblers here, my, oh my. When you're starting Tommy DeVito as what your offensive position, that's not good.
I love that you skip over Aiden O'Connell and go to Tommy DeVito.
Well, I mean.
That's the quarterbacks, man. What can you do?
Yeah. It's probably why you're only projected to have 190. This is not going to be close. I'm taking the Kings in a huge win.
Yep. I'm looking at the Kings on this one, and I really want to see Jordan Addison again with Dobbs and see if they can actually keep that moving. He gets the Broncos. They have been a better defense as of late. They started out as a joke. They've done much better in recent weeks. So I want to see how Addison and Dobbs navigate that on the road in Denver. But yes, give me the Kings. Give me the Kings big. In honor of the Kings, I'm going to predict a 67-point victory. Now, next, we will go to Hurricane, where the Elkview River Rats are visiting the Hurricane Wampus Cats at 5-5. The Zinfo Matt Smith went with the Wampus Cats.
Well, of course he was. I'm riding a 4-game losing streak. I am now officially out of first place, which it was kind of a joke I was in first this long. I got newly acquired Geno Smith as my quarterback. I don't think we even went over that trade, but
cut off.
I'm running with a really young team now. If you look at this, I got Gibbs, Spears, Johnston, Jamison Williams, Christian Watson, Jordan Love. Even my linebackers, Davis and Walker, they're all guys like are under 25 years old. So I'm just running with the youth here. As for the Wampus Cats, Justin Herbert, I think he's had games of like double digits, single digits, double digits, single digits. He's due for a single digit game, but I don't think it's going to matter anyways, playing Green Bay. So I'm taking the Wampus Cats I think it's going to be closer than this point spread. I think I'm only going to lose by about 12 points.
All right. The main thing I'm looking for in this matchup, Kyler and Houston, that game should be an absolute blast this weekend. So I'm looking to see what Kyler does with the second game back, this time on the road. But yeah, I have the Wampus Cats in the margin of 30 to 40 points in the win. All right. The next up, the Midnight Riders hosting the Wake Forest Lumberjacks. The Lumberjacks coming off a surprising defeat of the Dobermans. The Zinfomat is giving this one to the Midnight Riders. Detroit, take it away.
You say a surprising defeat?
They defeated the Dobermans.
Oh, okay, defeated.
It was a surprise.
Okay, my bad. The looks like the Lumberjacks are getting Devon A-Chain.
Nope. I knew it. Chan.
I know. I said that on purpose. So I'm anxious to see what kind of carries he's going to be getting. Him and Mostert probably going to split. For the Midnight Riders, he does not have his newly acquired quarterback in here, Patrick Mahomes, so he's not going to have to run with a wide receiver in his offense OP position. I think this game's going to be a blowout. I think the Midnight Riders are going to ride high with their new quarterback this week.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm taking the Midnight Riders as well. And one thing I want to look forward to, Ty Chandler, he could have the chance to take over the running back one position in Minnesota. They're very banged up. The Broncos defense, while it has been better, could be susceptible to the run still, just like we saw with Buffalo. So I want to see if Ty Chandler can really vault up this Midnight Riders rushing attack, because as we said, Najee might be on the way out, bro. So we really need Ty Chandler to step it up. All right. This game, next, we have these Sinners traveling down to Nocatee to take on the Zen Masters. This is the game of, I don't understand how the Sinners are good. They seem to be awful, but yet they keep winning. Zinfomat does not believe in his Zen Masters. He is taking the Sinners to get the win and continue winning. Detroit, what do you say about this matchup?
Yeah, when I looked at the point spread at first, it only said 9 points, but right now the Sinners currently have two guys that are on a bye this week. So I'm sure that'll get fixed and it'll adjust the point spread. Yep. Yeah, it's like you said, it's one of those teams you look at them and you're like, how are the Sinners 8-2?
That was a copyright for Zinfomat. Yep.
Yeah, Tony Pollard. I mean, is it time to give up on this guy being like a good fantasy running back?
I mean, maybe not great. He's a running back 21 still. I feel like the blame for him is going pretty well. I mean, I know he's drafted as a top fantasy option. He's still running back 21. Like, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Just expect more of that. But you look at these guys. You got Hopkins, Diggs, Evans as receivers. They're kind of older guys. It's just surprising. Anyways, the Zen Masters. I talked about it earlier. James Cook had a breakout game, even though he fumbles. And the emergence of Dalton Kincaid. That guy's looking like a stud now. I'm going to, for some reason, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm going to take the upset. I'm going the Zen Masters this week. And a shocker.
Nice. I'm looking at this. The main thing I want to see Lamar give us good fantasy output. I mean, I know that the Ravens have been playing well, but it hasn't translated in fantasy. We'll see that on Thursday night against the Bengals. But as far as this matchup goes, once he fills in those defensive stars, I think he's going to be projected to win by close to 30, 35 or so. Let me get the Sinners in the victory. Now, we've now broken our code 3 weeks ago or so of no repeat games of the week, whatever, out with the rule books. It just wasn't able to be done this year. So we have our final game. It is the 6-4 Dobermans taking on the now division leading in the most division in the KDFL. Division leading at 5-5. The Zenful Matt has taken the Evil Empire to get this win. Detroit, how do you see our Week 11 game of the week?
Yeah, looking at the rosters here, Dobermans have the number 1 fantasy quarterback and running back on their team. He doesn't really have another running back unless he's got one on a bye here. He's 6-4, but I don't know about his team. I don't know if they got it to where they can win it all. We've all covered the Evil Empire about how good they are. Here's a question. Which wide receiver, now that he's acquired Jefferson, is sitting out? Is it going to be Cooper Kupp? Because Kupp has only had 7, 6, and 8 points in his last 3 games. Who is he going to bench there?
I can tell you right now, it's probably going to be Amari Cooper. Because Watson's gone. Amari Cooper's value is about to plummet.
That's true. Yeah, so I think they just have too much firepower. I think the Evil Empire is going to win this. And I'm probably going to get a really negative, nasty emoji or something from the Dobermans.
I'm looking at this, and I just want to see how Adam Thielen, who has played very well, still wide receiver 10 on the season. I want to see how he navigates an actually very tough Cowboys defense. So I want to see if he can live up to that 17.8 average. I'm going to guess he scores well below 13 or so on the week. So
he's had a breakout game since he's been traded to the Evil
Empire. Right. It's been a little bit of a struggle. There were rumors that he was already on the trading block with the Evil Empire. But yeah, I am going with the Evil Empire to get this W. Let's bring it back to us now. Now, in honor of the Zenful Matt Smith, I was sent a nice quote to sign off with for him. As a bee gathering nectar does not harm or disturb the color and fragrance of the flower, so do the wise move throughout the world. And he's given us 2 wise picks for his lock of the week. He has taken his newfound love for his Raiders and getting the 12.5 points against the Dolphins. He's also taking the Cardinals to upset the Texans. Detroit, take it away with your lock and upset, please.
Nice. That was great insight by the Zen Masters. I like that.
Yeah,
always look forward to it.
Yes.
Well, as always, I have to start with my PSA. People, don't bet. If you don't have the money, don't bet. And if you do, there's help out there. Don't take our picks serious. We're not very good at this. But I'm going to do it anyways because that's what the pod requires from me. My upset this week is I'm taking the Raiders over the Dolphins.
Woo!
Yeah, it's a shocker. I'm going to do it. And my lock of the week is the Chargers -3 at Green Bay. I don't really feel comfortable with either one of those, but
that's the best picks.
Yeah. It was a good week, just me and you. We'll probably have a guest back next week.
Zenful Matt returns next week.
Awesome.
Yes.
So for me, my cat Vader, my Vader light up over there. We'll see you again next week. And Brett, you suck.
All right. Please, if you made it through that monologue there, please remember to like and subscribe to the podcast. As far as my lock, I just saw the Niners put up a boatload of points. So naturally, I have to go against my better instincts because my instincts are terrible. So give me the Niners and Bucks under 41.5. I don't see how they stay under that number, but we'll see. And for my upset, I'm going with division rivals. I love to take them. Give me the Giants and Mr. DeVito somehow beating the Commanders. And as far as the stealing money parlay, we're going straight money line this week, all the way across. Give me Dallas beating the Carolina Panthers. Give me Jacksonville. This is the shaky one of the 3, in my opinion, getting the win over the Titans at home. And give me the Niners getting a win over the Bucks. Parlay that together, you get -132. So for Jonathan Detroit Haynes, and for somewhere out there in a peace field somewhere, the Zenful Matt Smith, I'm Brett Steele, and we will see you here next week right here on the KDFL Dynasty Football Podcast.